Welcome to a moment that will be etched in the annals of Asian sporting history forever. We are broadcasting live from the electric atmosphere of Melbourne, where the summer heat has nothing on the fire that has just been unleashed on Court 7. If you're joining us from the Philippines, from Southeast Asia, or anywhere in the tennis world, you need to sit down, take a breath, and listen very closely. Because what we have just witnessed is not just a match, it is a declaration. It is a shifting of the tectonic plates of the Women's Tennis Association. The headline is real. The numbers are confirmed. The world is indeed shocked, not just by the victory, but by the sheer, undeniable dominance of the ascent. Alexandra Eala, the pride of the Philippines, the 20-year-old lefty sensation from Quezon City, has just stormed to the first round of the 2026 Australian Open, and in doing so, she has shattered her own ceiling yet again. We have just received the live ranking projections, and they are staggering. With this victory over the heavy-hitting American Alicia Parks, Alex Eala is now mathematically projected to rise to a career-high world ranking of number 43. Let that sink in for a moment. Number 43 in the world. Just 7 days ago, we were celebrating her historic break into the top 50, a feat never before achieved by a Filipino woman in the Open era. We thought that was the peak of the month. We thought the semi-final run in Auckland was a headline of the season. We were wrong. That was just the prologue. Today, under the blazing Melbourne sun, Eala didn't just win a tennis match. She dismantled the skepticism that often surrounds players making the transition from junior Grand Slam champion to professional contender. The world is shocked because the trajectory is no longer gradual. It is vertical. To understand the gravity of this moment, we have to look at who she just defeated and where she stands. Alicia Parks is no pushover. We are talking about a woman who shares a record for fastest serve in U.S. Open history, 129 miles per hour. A player who has a WTA title to her name. A player who brings a kind of raw, explosive power that usually blows finesse players off the court. But today, that power ran into a wall of Filipino resilience. It ran into a tactical masterclass that left the Americans scrambling. This result, this projected ranking of number 43, changes everything. It changes the conversation from, can she make it, to, how far can she go? It changes her status from a promising prospect to a legitimate tour threat. Being ranked 43rd in the world means direct entry into every major tournament on the planet. It means being seeded in smaller events. It means the tennis elite, the Sabalenkas, the Swiateks, the Goffs, now have to look over their shoulders because there is a new force rising from the East. And why is the whole world shocked? Because for decades, Southeast Asian tennis has been looking for its next global icon. We've seen flashes of brilliance. We've seen steady careers. But Eala is bringing something different. She brings a pedigree that combines the gritty, hard-court sensibilities of Asian tennis with the heavy, topspin-laden intensity of the Spanish clay courts, forged at the Rafa Nadal Academy. That hybrid game was on full display today. The shock isn't that she won. The shock is that she made it look like she belonged in the top 40 all along. The live rankings don't lie. When the computers update next Monday, the Philippine flag will fly higher on the WTA list than it ever has in history. But this broadcast isn't just about a number next to a name. It is about the narrative of 2026. We are only in the third week of January, and already Eala has secured a semifinal finish in a WTA 250, beaten a top 20 player in an exhibition, and now secured her first ever main draw win at the Australian Open. The happy slam that is quickly becoming the history slam for the Philippines. Think about the pressure on her shoulders. The entire nation of the Philippines, over 110 million people, watches her every move. Every serve is scrutinized. Every forehand is analyzed on social media. Entering this match against Parks, the expectations were suffocating. The sophomore slump is a real thing for young pros. The pressure to defend points. The pressure to validate that top 50 ranking. It breaks lesser players. But Alex Eala, she didn't crack. She didn't flinch. She absorbed the pace of Park's 120 miles per hour serves and sent them back with interest. She turned defense into offense with a maturity that belies her 20 years. We are going to dive deep today. We are not just going to tell you the score. We're going to break down exactly how she neutralized one of the biggest servers on tour. We will analyze the specific improvements in her service motion that allowed her to hold her own. We will look at the ranking implications, who she leapfrogged to get to number 43, and what she needs to do to crack the top 30. We will discuss her coaching team, the influence of the Rafa Nadal Academy, and the physical transformation she has undergone in the offseason. This is a deep dive into the making of a superstar. This is a story of how a girl from Quezon City conquered the juniors, survived a brutal ITF circuit, and is now knocking on the door of the world elite. The Australian Open has just begun, but for millions of fans, the tournament has already delivered its most emotional storyline. Ladies and gentlemen, the whole world shocked headline isn't clickbait. It is the reality of the sport waking up to a new hierarchy. The old guard is holding on, but the new generation, led by the fearless Alexandra Eala, is kicking down the door. Rank number 43 is secure. The second round awaits. But before we look forward, we must look at the immediate impact of what just happened on Court 7. Stay tuned. We are about to dissect a match that redefined a career. We are about to explore the metrics, the mindset, and mechanics of Alex Eala's historic Australian Open debut. This is the comprehensive analysis you won't get anywhere else. The rise is real, the rank is 43, and the world is watching. Let's transition now into mechanics of this victory and the broader implications of this meteoric rise. To understand why hitting rank number 43 is such a shock to the system, we have to contextualize where Alex Eala was just 12 months ago and break down the tactical evolution that was on display against Alicia Parks. The match, dissecting the win over Parks. Let's start with the match itself. Alicia Parks is a nightmare draw for a first round. In women's tennis, you have seeds and you have dangerous floaters. Parks is the ultimate dangerous floater. She is 6'1", athletic, and possesses a serve that can take the racket out of your hand. For a player like Eala, who is 5'9" and relies on constructive point building, this is a matchup that, on paper, spells trouble. Historically, Eala has struggled against first-strike tennis, players who win the point in 2 shots. But today, we saw the Eala 2.0 game plan. The return strategy, the most shocking statistic from the match, wasn't Eala's winners. It was a return of serve percentage. Against a server like Parks, who routinely hits aces in the double digits, Eala adopted a position further back, similar to the Daniil Medvedev or Rafael Nadal stance. This was a calculated risk. By standing 2 meters behind the baseline, she bought herself an extra split second to read the direction of Parks' 120 miles per hour bombs. But the genius was in the execution. She didn't just block the ball back. She used her lefty spin to neutralize the point. She hit high, heavy balls deep to the Parks' backhand, forcing the American to generate her own pace from an uncomfortable height. This is a Nadal DNA showing up. You don't out-hit a power player. You outposition them. The mental fortitude. We have to talk about the second set. After taking the first set comfortably, there was a moment where Parks began to redline. The serve started clicking 125 miles per hour, 127 miles per hour down the tee. In 2023 or 2024, Eala might have panicked. We've seen her get frustrated when her rhythm is broken. But today, at 4-4 in the second set, facing a break point that would have allowed Parks to serve for the set, Eala produced a second serve that required nerves of steel. A sliced serve out wide, sliding away from the Parks forehand, followed by a wrong-footing forehand winner down the line. That sequence right there is why she is ranked number 43. That is top 50 decision-making under Grand Slam pressure. Physicality and movement. The shock factor for many international commentators was Eala's physical conditioning. The Australian summer is brutal. Court temperatures can exceed 40 degrees Celsius. Eala looked fresher in the second hour than she did in the first. Her team has clearly focused on her explosive movement. Against Parks, you have to defend corners. Eala was sliding on the hard courts, a skill that is becoming essential in the modern game, and recovering to the center instantly. This ability to absorb pace and reset the point is what frustrated Parks into making 35 unforced errors. Eala became a backboard that hit back. 2. The ranking mathematics. Why number 43? Now, Let's get into the weeds of the ranking system, because this is where the shock headline finds its mathematical justification. Tennis rankings are a rolling 52-week system. You defend what you earned last year. Last year, at this time, Alex Eala was grinding in the qualifying rounds or playing lower-tier ITF events. She had almost 0 points to defend in the Australian Open main draw. This is the golden opportunity window. Entering Melbourne, she was ranked number 49 with approximately 1,159 points. A first-round win at a Grand Slam is incredibly lucrative in terms of points. In 2026, the point distribution has been adjusted slightly, but a round of 64 appearance guarantees a significant chunk of points, usually around 70 to 100 points depending on the specific tier adjustments of the year. By defeating Parks, Eala adds those pure profit points to her tally. She isn't replacing a bad result. She is simply adding to her mountain. Meanwhile, the players ranked immediately above her, players in number 44 to number 48 range, are dropping points. Some of them lost in the first round. Others are defending points from a deep run last year that they failed to replicate. This perfect storm, Eala gaining points while her rivals lose them, is what catapults her 6 spots up the ladder to number 43 live. Why does number 43 matter? It matters because of the cutoffs. WTA 1000 events. Tournaments like Indian Wells, Miami, Madrid, and Rome have cutoffs for direct entry, usually around the top 50 or top 45. At number 43, Eala is now guaranteed main draw entry into the biggest non-slam events of the year. No more qualifying. No more praying for wild cards. She is in by right. Seeding in WTA 25500S. At smaller events, being number 43 often makes you a top 8 seed. This means you avoid the big guns in the early rounds. It makes deep runs easier, which leads to more points, which leads to a higher ranking. It is a virtuous cycle, and Eala has just stepped into it. 3. The evolution, 2025 to 2026. To understand the shock, we must look at the history. The journey to number 43 wasn't a straight line. It was a jagged path of learning. The junior glory versus pro reality. We all remember the junior days. 2 Grand Slam doubles titles, AO 2020, Roland Garros 2021, and the crown jewel, the 2022 U.S. Open Junior Singles title. She was the darling of the juniors. But history is littered with junior champions who couldn't transition. The gap between hitting against 17-year-olds and hitting against a seasoned pro, like Magda Linette or Donna Vekic, is an ocean. The 2025 grind. 2025 was the crucible. She started the year outside the top 150. It was a grind of ITF W25S, W50S, and failing in Grand Slam qualifiers. There were tears. There were early exits. But the breakthrough came in Miami. Do you remember Miami 2025? As a wild card, she made the semifinals. She beat top 10 players. That was the first shock. That was the moment she proved her ceiling was high. However, consistency was the issue. She would beat a top 10 player one week and lose to the world number 200 the next. The 2026 transformation. What we are seeing now in Melbourne is a result of the 2026 preseason. We need to credit her coaching team, led by Joan Bosch at the Rafa Nadal Academy. They identified 3 key areas. The serve. Eala is not 6'2". She cannot rely on aces. She needed spot serving precision. Against Parks, her first serve percentage was over 65%. That is the magic number. When she lands her first serve, she dictates with the lefty forehand. The +1 shot. This is the shot immediately after the serve or the return. In the past, Eala would rally. Now, she looks to damage. Her forehand velocity has increased by an average of 5 miles per hour, according to Hawkeye data. She has taken the ball earlier, robbing opponents of time. Resilience, the mental game. In the ASB Classic semifinals last week, even though she lost a tight match to Wang Xinyu, she showed she could hang physically for 3 hours. Today against Parks, she didn't fade. She got stronger. For the cultural weight, Pinoy pride, and Asian tennis. We cannot analyze this. Script without touching on the whole world shocked aspect regarding her heritage. The tennis world is Eurocentric. The power base is in the U.S. and Europe. For an Asian player, specifically a Southeast Asian player, to break through is rare. We had Li Na from China. We had Naomi Osaka representing Japan. But the Philippines has been waiting for this for a century. Alex Eala is not just a tennis player. She is a cultural phenomenon. When she plays, the online traffic spikes. The Eala army is real. This victory at the Australian Open is significant because Melbourne is practically a home slam for Filipinos. The crowd support on Court 7 was deafening. Laban Pilipinas was chanting between every point. This atmosphere feeds her. Some players crumble under national expectation. Eala seems to surf on top of it. She has spoken many times about playing for something bigger than herself. Reaching number 43 validates the investment of her family, the sacrifices of moving to Spain at a young age, and the hopes of a nation that treats basketball as a religion but is now converting to tennis. V. The technical analysis, the lefty advantage. Let's get technical for the tennis nerds watching. Why is Eala's game so effective right now? It's the lefty advantage combined with modern court geometry. Most players on tour are right-handed. They are used to the ball spinning a certain way. When Eala hits her cross-court forehand, it spins away from a right-hander's backhand. It forces them to reach, opening up the court. Against Parks today, Eala abused the ad-court serve. She sliced the ball wide to Parks' backhand, pulling Parks off the court, and then hit the next shot into the open court. It's a classic pattern, but she is executing it with the precision of a veteran. Furthermore, her backhand, often her more stable wing, held up against the power. She was able to absorb Parks' heavy forehands and redirect them down the line. That down-the-line change of direction is the hardest shot in tennis, and Eala was hitting it with low-margin precision. That signals confidence. You don't hit backhand down-the-line winners on break points unless you fully believe in your technique. 6. The implications of rank number 43. So, what does this actually mean for the rest of the year? Being number 43 in January is a massive advantage. It means she is in the running to be seated at Roland Garros if she has a great clay season. Remember, she trains on clay in Spain. That is her natural surface. If she is playing this well on hard courts, imagine what she will do when the tour moves to the red dirt of Europe in April. This ranking also has financial implications. The prize money, the endorsements. But more importantly, it creates an aura. When you are number 150, opponents expect to beat you. When you are number 43, opponents respect you. They get tight. They know you have beaten the best. Eala has earned that respect today. The shock is that the transition is complete. She is no longer a junior prodigy. She is a WTA star. The round 1 win at the AO is a certification that, SO, where do we go from here? The dust is settling on Court 7, but the tournament is far from over for Alexandra Eala. The victory over Alicia Parks is in the books. The ranking points are banked. The projected number 43 is a reality. But in a Grand Slam, you don't get time to celebrate. The turnaround is brutal. You play every other day. Recovery is now the priority. Ice baths, massage, nutrition, sleep. Looking ahead to round 2, the draw opens up. Based on the bracket, her potential opponents are tricky but beatable. She will likely face either the crafty veteran Karolina Machova or the gritty Jacqueline Christian. Neither of these players possesses the overwhelming power of Alicia Parks, which suggests a more tactical, physical battle is on the horizon. This favors Eala. If she can handle the 129 miles per hour serves of Parks, she can handle the spin and variety of Machova. If she wins round 2, we are talking about a potential top 35 debut. We are talking about the third round of a slam, where anything can happen. The Cinderella run is a term used often in sports, but this doesn't feel like a fairy tale. It feels like a schedule. It feels like she is exactly where she is supposed to be. For the fans watching at home, this is your call to action. Do not blink. We are witnessing the prime years of an athlete who could very well become the greatest unparalleled athlete in Philippine individual sports history, standing shoulder to shoulder with the likes of Hidilyn Diaz and Manny Pacquiao. The Australian Open 2026 has become the Alex Eala show for millions of fans, and rightfully so. To summarize the breaking news, 1. Alex Eala defeats Alicia Parks in round 1 of the Australian Open Point 2. She secures a projected career-high ranking of world #43.3. She is the first Filipino to ever reach this height in professional tennis point 4. The world is indeed shocked, not by the win, but by the dominance. This is a developing story. As the tournament progresses, we will be here to break down every set, every game, and every point. But for now, let us appreciate the magnitude of today. A young woman from Quezon City stepped onto a court in Melbourne, stared down one of the biggest servers in the game, and didn't just win. She announced her arrival to the elite tier of women's tennis. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive special. Keep your eyes on the schedule. Keep your notifications on. The rise to the top is happening in real time, and you have a front row seat. For the news desk, reporting on a historic day at the Australian Open, I'm signing off. Good night, and let's keep making history.